Hey, how you doing? My name is Franklin Cruz from TrueInvestors.com and True Investors Development. Thank you so much for watching Real Estate Geniuses podcast. If you're watching it or listening to it, truly appreciate you. So what you're about to listen to is the full masterclass that I'm giving with that how I took one house to 41 houses, converted it over to 41 houses, then sold it to KB Homes for $1.25 million. And they were so nice enough after that transaction happened, they named the street after my family, which is called Cruz Court. First address was 7187 Cruz Court. And if you don't know who I am, my name is Franklin Cruz. My project's been on the front page of a newspaper before. And just recently, we just also won the Beautification Award for the city of Lakeland on one of our modern home projects. And we just got nominated for the Frank Lloyd Wright Spirit Award as well. So I do these podcasts and I do these trainings because I believe that we have to bring development back. And we are the ones that can make that happen. Nobody else is coming. We are the ones that are going to make it happen. So if you can, please get a pen, paper, crayon, whatever you've got to do, and take notes. This full masterclass is no joke. It's very intense. So hopefully you get a ton out of it. And if you do, please leave a comment below, like, share it. It'll mean the world to me. So talk to you soon. So starting off with how I found the deal as well. I call this lead to legacy. This is the Cruz Court story. So this property, again, 9 acres of land, one house on it, and it was the original owner. And then I was able to convert it to 41 houses, but it did not start off that way. So we're going to go knee deep into this story. All right. So, and then also the first house was 7187 Cruz Court. I have that in my office. Super cool. If you guys ever want to look that up, you can. So 7187 Cruz Court, Lakeland, Florida. All right. So how did I generate the lead? So if I'm looking at, to me, all deals start from lead and then it finishes to cash in bank. So we're going to go through that whole process on this one. So how I got the lead is this was a setup. What I learned was before I actually got this lead on this parcel of land, in one calendar year, I already finished 60 transactions. So 60 transactions I did face-to-face with owners and actually getting these deals under contract. At the end of the year, this deal came up. Okay. So, and there's a reason why I bring this up, because to me, I do believe that when you're ready for it, things will pop up for you, but if you're not ready, it may not pop up. And this is kind of how I'm going to go through it. So the referral was from a friend, and Daniel, you know this guy, Chris Chico.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So Chris sent me a text and he's like, dude, I got a lead in Lakeland. You want to, I don't know anything about Lakeland. And now the reason why I also bring up, I did so many transactions is I post about my transactions. I talk about it. And when people understand that you know what you're doing, they're going to refer you things if they're out of that area. But you've got to actually know what the hell you're doing. If you don't know what you're doing, it's okay. Just keep going through the process and you'll get it. So I text the lady and I said, hey, this is it right on. This is the actual text. It's like, hey, how you doing, Karen? Have you received the offer? She thinks it's Chris. If you see this, it's not. And I was like, no, I'm his Lakeland partner, right? My name is Franklin. Immediately she goes into, hey, I'm okay with holding a note and I believe in installing payments. And I was like, goal. If you know anything about creative financing, that is basically like, to me, that's like we're going on the first date and she's already proposing. I'm like, oh, okay, all right. I guess we're not going to Applebee's. All right. We're definitely going to Chili's. Okay. So
you really know how to treat your women, Franklin.
well, you gotta treat them good at Applebee's and Chili's, because then how they act there is how they're gonna act at McDonald's. Okay, so
It goes downhill on the second day.
yeah, it goes downhill because then I got to see if they could really hang, and then after about a year and a half, then we'll upgrade to a steakhouse. Okay, so other than that, it's not gonna happen. So from here, I knew that she was motivated and there was something there, and I'm looking forward to it. So this is how the lead started: referral, text conversation, and now we're setting up an appointment. And so with this appointment, I'm starting to find out, this is the actual picture. This is Karen here, and this is her mother, Nancy. Now, why that means a lot as well, my mom passed away when I was 10 years old. And because of that, I'm adopted. Well, I've never met a seller named my mom's name, which was Nancy. So right off the back, I was like, this is cool. This is like the first time I ever met a seller, the same name as my mom. This is neat. All right. And she had dementia as well. This beautiful lady. She was doing puzzles, and it was just a really cool transaction when I met her. But when I started talking to her, and this is the conversation of the phone, and then meeting her, I understood. Look, the house was too big. This was her family house. This was Karen's family house, 4,000 square foot home, 2 bedroom, 2 bath, and they were the original owners of the 9 acre parcel from 1960s. Okay. So
How,
right off the back,
hey,
if you
Franklin,
are a real estate investor and you hear this, you're like, man, if the numbers work, I know we got a deal. Like this should be a deal. The original owners, like this should be a deal.
hey,
So
Franklin,
yeah,
quick question.
yes,
How
sir.
rural was this? Were the other parcels surrounding this also 9 acres, or was this like an unusually large parcel in the middle of sort of more density?
Yeah, this is like a lot. This is more like suburbia area.
Hmm.
So the density was there. And then I'll go over some pictures as well of what I learned, right? So this area is not surrounded by 9 acre parcels. This is like surrounded by normal neighborhoods. And then this property stuck out like a sore thumb because right down the street as well, a Walmart just got built. So I didn't know, and just FYI, I'm gonna say some language that if you don't know the language, it's okay because I didn't know this shit either, right? So I didn't know what an anchor store was. I didn't know, like I actually thought it was like, oh, that's a store that sells anchors. Like I didn't. They're like, no, that's like an anchor store is a national brand. And so anyway, so they had an anchor store called Walmart right down the
Hmm.
street, and then this property, there was a park across the street, and then there was a gated community, and then normal homes around as well. So
Got it.
this was like that sore thumb. You're like, damn, if I could find out who the owner was, like that
Yeah.
could be a home run. Answer some of your questions, Daniel?
Oh yeah, yeah.
Perfect. So now let's go through the whole lead acquisition process. Did somebody have a question? Carrie? Go ahead.
Were other investors not hounding this woman for this property at this point in time?
Yes, and we'll go over that as well. So, quick answer on that one. Yes, yes, and more yes. And what was going on was the at the time the mother did not want to sell, and Karen didn't want to sell either. Everybody will always bother them, and she actually was under contract with a GC, but he said the numbers wouldn't make sense. At the time, she's telling me on the phone call all this, and I'm like, I still don't even know what she wants to sell for. She didn't communicate that yet. But I was attempting to start figuring it out, but I also knew through this language right here, when she said, "Hey, I would be willing to hold a note," that's not common language for people who aren't investors. So I knew she was talking to other people and they brought this up to her. So that's kind of what gave it. Does that answer your question as well, Karen? If she's there. Okay, perfect. All right. So then what I automatically did as well, and this is highly recommend if you're not already doing this, make sure when you're asking the seller questions over the phone and you're setting up the appointment, always remember just build rapport and establish trust. You've got to. I used to be an Army recruiter. That's me in the middle. And the first thing we always learned was build rapport, build rapport, build rapport. Because if you say everything wrong, that's fine. If they like you, they'll still go forward. So that's kind of how I always look at everything. So we scheduled an appointment, had some clear expectations. And what I always say too, and you guys can use this, whenever I'm setting that appointment, and she finally did give me a number, it was $650,000 right in the first phone call. And I said, okay, so you're telling me that if I give you 650 right now, you're willing to sign a contract today. If they hesitate or like, oh, I don't know, I don't schedule the appointment. I wait until they're ready to sign an agreement. That's me personally. Because if they're not ready, I don't want to go over there wasting my time. I want to go over there like, if I like this deal, I did all my due diligence, let's sign so we can move forward. So, Jonathan, you had a question? I can't hear you. Sorry,
Hey,
sir.
sorry, is that better?
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot better.
Hey, now what I wanted to know is when you saw this property, did you already have the idea I'm going to develop on it? And
Hell
what
no.
was your idea going? Okay, what
Yeah, I'm gonna
was your
go over that
idea?
too. Like, look, I want to make this super clear. I know this office, and Daniel's saying some cool things about me. You may think at that time I was an established developer. No, I did not stay at a Holiday Inn. I did not know anything dealing with development. I had no clue at that time in 2000. It was 2019 when this happened. Now a lot has changed since then, but at that time I was thinking in my head, I'm just going to flip this house. Like, this is a golden house, golden area. There's a gated community down the street that some properties are going for $1 million plus. And I'm like, I'm just going to flip the house. I'm not even thinking of development. That's not even a thought in my head at all. So going back into the questions, hopefully that answers your question as well. So I'm probing her, building rapport. We establish the appointment, right? And again, remember, in my head, I'm always thinking military. So I want to be on time, want to make sure that I'm there. I want to do my due diligence before the appointment. So I start entering all the data. First thing I do is put everything into my CRM system. I start tracking, putting her information, start doing some background on the property. I'm already thinking, okay, what are the comps as a house? What's the zoning? Is there any kind of title issues? Like, I'm just doing my basic due diligence on this property, like I do every time. And then I prepare, and I have in my car is what I call the seller acquisition packet. And I always want to make sure I'm double checking that. So I'm double checking it, prior to the appointment. I'm also printing out, and I always do this, I print out a full comp report from the MLS, because it's like 40 pages. And I always like doing this with the seller, just because now the seller knows I'm serious. Like, hey, I'm bringing over the comps. Like, we're going to go over the value of your home or your land. So, I'm not here trying to go back and forth with you. I just want to show you this is the value, and let's see if we can create something. Right? So this is the first picture I took of the property. This is the land here. This is one side of it. And so I'm already kind of analyzing, does it have potential for what? Like, I've never dealt with a big piece of land at this time. I never dealt with a big piece of land like this before. I dealt with a lot of houses, but 9 acres was a lot. And if you see here across the street, this was a gated community across the street. And on the other side, it had another gated community. Now, none of these houses were like multi-million dollars, but they were still like in this area, 500 to 700,000 is super high end. I live in Lakeland, Florida. It's between Tampa and Orlando. Amazing area, but cost of living over here relative to Tampa and Orlando is medium. It's like medium, kind of low-ish, right? But down the street, there was some $1 million homes, and it was probably about a half a mile away. So I meet with her, and then first thing I do is I'm looking at the house. I'm just seeing the house. Is there anything up with the house? Can we flip this house? Can we rehab the house? So I'm looking at it on site, off site, just evaluating everything. So I always take videos and photos. And just FYI, this is literally the best video recorder you could ever get if you don't have it already. It's called a DJI 3. This is what I use every time. And I always have this on me, and I have them sign a waiver, like allowing me to record, because I like looking back at my game film of what did I do during the transaction? How did I negotiate it? Could I have been better? And I take photos, and I have a secondary phone. I take photos with my phone. So I have this recording. Go ahead.
Every appointment.
Every single appointment.
Does anybody ever say no? They don't want to be filmed?
Karen did. I didn't get this on film. I got a ton of photos. And so if they say, hey, if you don't mind, did you hear me, Daniel? Go ahead. I didn't hear you.
No, I said, and her name was Karen.
Yeah, Karen. Yeah, that's literally her thing.
We have Karen's on the call. No time.
So what was interesting, and I didn't start recording until probably a couple of years ago. So not every single person ever did, but a good amount. And now nobody has an issue with it, because I always say, I start off the conversation, hey, I'm recording everything more for security purposes and for myself. And the main thing, and if you're a man or a woman, I recommend getting the camera. And the main reason why is I've had 2 instances that people show up in lingerie. And I was like, oh, hell no.
I remember you telling me about that.
Yeah. And I was like, nah, man, I'm good. I mean, I'm fine. One lady was a lot older. If they were a little bit different, probably I would have went inside. But, I'm single. I'm allowed. So, but yeah, you just want to record. And the other thing is, it helps legal purposes. As I've done a lot bigger transactions in development, the numbers start getting a lot higher. So you have to make sure that you have legally, you have video, you have photos, you have everything pertaining to that agreement, because they will possibly come back if they find out you're making millions and they only made $1 million. They want, for some reason, they always want more. At least that's how it's been for me. So just make sure that you're capturing as much as you can. All right, perfect. So we started the conversation with a kitchen table negotiation. I always want to make sure there's, this is another seller, but I always make sure they're filling out the information and I'm kind of filling out the contract. So there's no dead time, right? So we sit down, we start negotiating. I show her there's comps in the area that are showing that lots are going for, $89,000 to $84,000 down the street from her. But I also show her, hey, I don't know if I could do a lot, or I don't know if I'm going to just rehab the house. So I don't know, and I've never done land before at that time. So I'm going to need, if we're going to do a land deal and you want to make as much money as possible, because she wanted to make 650,000. So that's the other thing. Always know that you know what the goal is of your seller. Because really what I've learned out of doing all these transactions in front of sellers, like face-to-face with sellers, is you got to know what their goal is. If you can get their goal and start understanding the facts, right? Now you can start create what I call a fast, low creative solution. So we created and this is the actual contract, we created what I called a creative solution. She wanted as much money as possible for the property. That was right here, $650,000. Can you guys see when I do this?
It's a little small, but
Okay, I apologize. I'm not sure if I can make it bigger, but so this says 650, okay? And what I did is now again, I'm going to go back to say I did 60 transactions face-to-face with homeowners on homes before this, and I did a lot of creative deals. So I always use a 2-page contract, and these would be the same terms that I've done for homes. So in my head, I'm like, this is a home. So I'm going to use my 2-page contract. Ain't nothing changing. I'm going to keep this as simple as possible. Because what I've learned is if you have a long contract, a lot of times they like, hey, I got to review this. And sometimes you could lose a deal because of that. So I recommend whatever state you're in, see if you can condense your contract to 2 pages helps.
hey,
So we
Franklin,
did.
hey, Franklin,
Go ahead.
Daniel was asking you a good question, which is in that
Mhm.
form where it's mostly handwritten, are you able to submit that? Is that legally binding? Are you able to submit that to the title company or to the closing attorney in that format? Or do you go back when you get home and retype it, or this is it?
No, so two answers to this one. Legally, this is already legally binding when we sign and agree. So that's the first thing. Now, remember what I was saying before. My thing is I don't want to lose the deal.
Yeah.
So I write it as whatever's got to be written. We both understand it. We're taking pictures of it. Like I'm clearly stating what we're doing. This is a seller financing deal. This says right here on the seller on closing, see details, right? So this is the additional provisions. I'm closing on it, $250,000. I'm going to close on the first 4 acres. The other 4 acres, I'm doing a payment plan. $1,000 deposit, $29,000 payment. And here's specifically the days. So I'm creating this entire structure on a sheet of paper, clearly that a 5-year-old could read this and understand. And I know this is a little bit small, so I apologize, but I promise you, if you could look closer, it really is simplistic.
Wait, so let's make sure we understand. It's 2 parcels. You're buying one outright for $250,000, and then
Yeah.
she's seller financing the other 4-acre parcel over what period of time?
Yes.
What
Over a 2-year period of time.
Okay, interesting. Why did you decide to structure it that way?
Because I had no idea what the fuck I was doing. So I literally, I never did a big land deal. So in my head, I'm like, if I don't know what I'm doing, I might as well have the longest contract I could get with her getting what her goal was and that she'll be okay with. So if she was okay with 650, and I always say the same thing, look, I'll scratch your back if you can scratch mine. You want 650,000. So here's how we could make this work. And because I showed her the comps, there's a lot of trust between me and her. Like I'm not talking to her like I'm trying to get a deal. I'm talking to her like, hey, I'm trying to solve your problem.
So
Does that
in
make sense?
hindsight, right, if you were doing this now, would you instead offer her a contract contingent on you
Hmm.
being able to upzone it before you
No,
close on anything, or would you have done it the same way?
no, I would have done the exact same way, man. It was a gold. This was like one of the best creative deals I've done. Like this was,
Would you have been willing to wait for 650 for a year?
the worst case scenarios, and Daniel talks about this a lot. You got to have options. I already knew I had plenty of options on this deal. The house was 4,000 square feet. All I had to do was rehab it, put it back on the market. I knew I could sell it for over $1 million.
Hmm.
So I knew worst case scenario, if I don't get what I want on the land, and really the land deal. And at first I wasn't even thinking land. I was actually thinking, hey, I'm going to build this whole damn thing. I'm going to do land. I'm going to build, I'm going to do this. I'm going to, like, in my head, I'm already designing the subdivision. Right. But obviously I didn't know what I was doing. So that's why I kind of wanted this long seller contract. And again, I didn't do a due diligence. I just said, hey, we're going right into seller financing.
Oh, wow. Okay. You had no due diligence period at all.
No.
And the parcel that you closed on right away for 250, was that the one with the house?
Yeah.
Got it. And
That
so
was the
the
one.
rest of it was the raw land that you
Yeah.
find.
But
Okay.
I already knew the house I could sell for, if the house just on that 4 acres, not even the other, I knew I could sell that in the 600 range. So I knew in my head, I'm like, look, worst case scenario, we go the house route. Best case scenario, which would be just cool. Like, I don't even know how much money I could make, but I think it would just be cool, is do the subdivision.
Yeah, but you knew what your stopgap was basically. Like you knew
Mhm.
where you knew where your downside was. So
Yeah.
you felt safe. Okay. All right,
Oh yeah,
awesome.
100%. 100%. Okay. So now going into, oh, sorry. Let me see here. Okay. So, and again, this is what I do in a sense of get the pictures with the clients. And again, I show people see this on my social media. So this already, I came into it with Karen in a good manner. So she trusted me like, hey, I'm here to solve the problem. And I can't reiterate this enough. When you have proof and you're doing this and you're with the seller, this means a lot. I've closed millions of dollars because of this. Like people will call because of this. So I just want to reiterate this. So, and again, you're putting a deal together, you're piecing together, and I can't say this enough. What is the seller's goal? And I figured that out with Karen. And then how can I get her goal? That's really what mattered. Okay, so let me erase this and we'll go to the next one. Sorry about that. Okay, so now, here we go. Okay, so what I did is we signed the contract. I started working on the legal process. I sent it to the title company. And I immediately always am in communication with the seller. So I'm communicating with Karen, telling her what's going on. And at the same time, too, I got to raise capital. I raise capital a little bit different from other people. I raise capital on this deal. I was like, if I'm going to do the house, I already had the comp. So I'm going to raise it. This is a simple, hey, the house is valued at X. I need X amount of dollars. But I needed a different amount of capital because I needed development capital and I didn't know how much. So I knew I had to pay her 650, but I didn't know how much it would be for studies. I didn't even know anybody who was in development, and me and Daniel, we know each other, but I didn't know, I knew that I'm like, I've never seen him do a subdivision. So I don't know who's the resource. Right.
Yeah.
And so I started making phone calls and a friend of mine was like, hey, I think you can get 25 houses on there. And I'm like, what? Immediately when I said that, he told somebody, and then I got an LOI from Southern Homes. And I'm like, oh, snap. What? I was like, I didn't even do anything. This is like a conversation with somebody. I'm not even like, doing a conceptual plan yet. Right. So when I see this, they want to do it for 58,000 per lot fully developed. So in my head, again, this is the first time I'm seeing these kind of numbers in my life. Like I've never dealt with $1 million deals. So you can imagine me, I'm already like, oh snap, like, this is going to be amazing.
So
But
just so we're clear, Franklin.
yes,
So who was it? Heritage Homes sent you an LOI for all 8 acres, the whole thing,
9
for
acres. Yeah.
for $2.2 million, assuming you had developed it into 58 lots.
Yes. And at that time, I didn't know what that meant either. So I didn't know what fully developed meant. Right. So in my head, I'm like, yeah, it's a lot of things going on because I literally have no clue. It's like I'm learning this new language called Chinese, and I don't even Like everybody wants to talk to me Chinese, but I don't understand what they're saying. Does that make sense?
You thought you had just made over $1 million because of a
Yeah.
$2.2 million LOI, and you're in it
Yeah.
for 650, right? So
Oh
yeah.
yeah. In my head, I'm like, oh, this is amazing. Like in my head, I'm already like crying at night sometimes. I'm like, I can't believe it. Like, this is amazing. But I still don't really know what I'm doing at that time either. So going into it, now I've got to figure out, let me cross this off. Okay, perfect. Now I got to figure out who actually knows anything about this, right? Who's done development. So I started doing the research and I found out that the guy who was the developer that that wanted to buy it from Karen, if you remember, I said, hey, she was working with people. He did a survey on the property. And then I got that survey and I was like, okay, this is interesting. Mind me, I still don't really know what all these circles are. Like, I don't know certain things. So I've got to start making some phone calls to figure out like, what are some next steps that I've got to do in this process? So now I'm going to take you to here. Okay. So what I figured out now, the question is, how do I go from this house to 41 acres, right? So I'm going to actually skip
41 lots.
41 lots.
I
I'm
was
going to
gonna say,
skip to
if
here.
you know how to turn 8 acres into 41 acres, this is a whole new conversation.
Yeah, no. So nine acres into 41. So it's going to start with Marco's Pizza. So here's the story behind that. Immediately when I get this under contract, I started thinking in my head, who do I even know that can help me? The first person that comes up, at the time I was married, my wife's uncle was named Uncle Donnie. This guy was he was the first millionaire I ever met in my life. Like multi-millionaire. In my head, it was a big deal when I was in my 20s. Like, oh my God, he had a diamond Rolex and he had a 1957 Thunderbird in a big plastic bubble, air bubble. It was just like, this guy was amazing. And then in 2008, he went completely bankrupt, lost everything, and was a shell of a human being. But I called Uncle Donnie and said, Uncle Donnie, I've got a deal. And I know he used to do subdivisions. Like, he was a huge developer in Lakeland. And I said, hey, can we talk about this land? He said, look, give me 2 pizzas and a Coke at Marco's and I'll tell you whatever you want. I said, done, son. So I go over there and he says, look, you need to talk to Kimley and Horn and you need to ask them for a conceptual plan. And I'm in my head, I'm like, what do you mean conceptual plan? He's like, look, let's set up the meeting. First conceptual plan I did, we found out we could do 25 houses. And I was like, oh snap. I'm like, this is amazing.
Now, is
And
that by current zoning in place? 25 lots?
current zoning in place, 25 houses would be allowed.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, this was huge. Huge.
So just so people understand, Kimley Horn is a civil engineer.
Yeah.
It's a
They're like the
engineer.
biggest civil engineers in the country. They're huge. They're in every major state.
Yeah,
Go ahead, Daniel. Sorry.
and that's that's fine. I just kind of want to occasionally I'll slow things down just to make sure people understand, right? So, Daniel, they're called Kimley Horn, but I mean there's civil engineers in every town, wherever you guys are. There's civil engineers. A lot of them have in-house surveying capabilities, right? So if
Yeah.
you don't have an existing survey, the very first thing you need on a piece of land like this is get an as-is survey. And then the civil engineering firm, again, most of them should understand zoning. Most civil engineering firms should be able to tell you, given the survey, given the zoning in place here, just like Franklin is showing, you can get 25 lots out of this parcel. But then the next question, which I bet Franklin is about to get to, is you got to account for road, for
Yep.
subdivision. You've got to account for, not all of that land can be subdivided into lots because you need access to those lots. You need
Yep.
circulation around, and
Yep.
then civil engineer is going to be able to help you figure out the utilities that you need to bring
Yep.
to these lots. But it all starts with a civil engineer. So that's
100%.
Yeah.
Yes. And so with this, and at the time too, I'm full transparent on how much money I'm already spending. So, okay. So for this conceptual plan, it cost me $5,000. Okay. Kimley and Horn as well, the retainer was like 25 grand. I'll go over what they did. The only reason why, also, I would always recommend, other civil engineers locally, like Daniel was saying. Now, here's a thing that you could write down. This is a big, please put like a big star next to what I'm about to tell you, because it's a huge inside secret that I didn't learn until like I dealt with like 5 different billion-dollar organizations that were purchasing properties from us, that they all did the same thing. And so here it is. If Kimley and Horn is available in that area in the city that you're in, and you're selling a parcel and it's being blessed by Kimley and Horn, the likelihood of you getting premium dollar is very high. If they like your property and for them to give you premium and they get to use Kimley and Horn, that's huge. Kimley and Horn in the development world are like when you're selling to oil companies, like I've done before as well. Like they are the Hermes. If you know what Hermes is, like they are the Hermes of development. Danny, you want to say something?
Well, but explain what that means. Does that just mean that they're expensive, or does that mean that they work on big projects with big developers and
They work on the huge projects, huge projects. So a lot of the, like, for example, KB Homes or DR Horton, or I've dealt with Johnson Development Group, Opal Fuel. Like these are national brands. So they like dealing with national civil engineers, because they're using Kimley and Horn for all their other projects they have throughout the country. So if they could use one organization, and Kimley and Horn has everything in-house. So their ESA reports, which is called environmental site assessments, they can get, geotechs, like everything is just under one, and they're extremely expensive. They're probably usually like 4 or 5 times higher. Go
So,
ahead,
so,
sorry.
so, so two things there, Franklin, that I think two big takeaways. One, again, big firm, and they can do a lot of things in-house. They can do surveying in-house, they can do soil testing in-house, they can do civil engineering in-house. I bet they also act as a zoning consultant slash land use attorney to represent
Yep.
their clients
Yep.
in zoning cases. So
Yep.
big firm, but the advantage of a big firm, they may not be the cheapest. We have a firm here in town called Timmons, who we work with. Same thing. I have a small civil engineer that I work with, and then there's like a big firm like Timmons. Advantage of a big firm like Timmons is they're more expensive, but they do a lot of things in-house that on
Mhm.
smaller projects, we may go to 4 different contractors and people to do. But then I bet also the advantage of working with somebody like this is that if you are new and you don't know what the hell you're doing, but you've got a good piece of land, I bet they can make referrals to you, to their
Oh yeah.
clients who may be interested in this land.
Oh yeah. And
Clients that you don't
that's
have access to,
exactly,
right?
yeah, that's exactly what happened. That's exactly what you just said. That's exactly what happened. So, they said, "Hey, we know some commercial brokers that may be able to help you." And I was like, "Okay." So I get on the phone with Marcus and Melichek was one. And again, remember, I'm thinking, do I do community? What do I do here? I'm still like up in the air at that time. So I start asking around, and I think it is okay. So yes. So I start asking around, and I start having conversations with other brokers that Kimley and Horn referred me to. And so they said, "Hey, you've got a great piece of land." And they helped me say, if you can get the density higher, get more lots on that land, you're going to have a lot more people bid on it, because it's such in a perfect location. It's a new suburbia area location that people want to be in, but you got to increase the density. Now, at the time, I didn't even know what that meant. So they're like, "Hey, just get more lots on there." So I was like, "Okay." So then we do one that's, and we get another conceptual plan. And I just want to remind you guys, 5 grand, 5 grand. Every time you see one, there was 8 of them. It was 5 grand. It's not cheap. Now I can get my conceptual plans done for $200, totally different. But before, I didn't know what the hell I was doing. So again, so we get it turned over. I think it was 39 lots or 38 lots, I think it was. And they sent it over to some of their conceptual plan or their acquisition managers from DR Horton, Southern Homes, everybody else. And one of them actually was the one that wrote on red marker, said, "Look, if you want to get more lots, you need to have one entrance and exit. If you see this closely," he turned it. He
Wow.
was a huge help. He was from Highland Homes. And that actually, we listened to him and we did it. So we did and then we got 41 houses, right? And then we had it said like it's a mathematical equation when you're looking at developments. And the way they look at it is there's a total square footage of the 9 acres, and then they divide it into, let's say, 30% to take out for retention, water, lift station, roads, anything else. And you probably have wetlands, which I did have wetlands right up on the top. And then you're allowed to build on a certain percentage of that land. And then they try to fit these boxes in that. Hopefully this is making sense.
Yeah.
I'm trying to do it dumbed down that nobody dumbed down for me. And at the time too, I'm talking to these two in my area. The two huge commercial brokers are Cushman and Wakefield and Marcus and Millichek, and I'm getting them to send me LOIs. Now, I'll tell you also what I learned by dealing with two massive commercial brokers, Marcus and Millichek. Here's a hint: if you write this down. Whoever gives you the longest amount of slides in a PowerPoint probably do not have a large pool of real acquisition managers. Okay. The one that shows you the lowest amount of PowerPoint on your property, that one probably really deals with a lot of acquisition managers. Just remember, people at the level that they're paying you millions of dollars for, time is everything. So just make sure in your head when you're hopefully this helps thinking this through, just time is everything. So then we start getting other LOIs because through Marcus and Millichek, I chose Cushman and Wakefield. So they started getting me a lot of LOIs. Now, at the same time, I have to raise more capital. And now my wife of 15 years files for divorce. So now I'm going through all this stuff and dealing with this development. I only say that just because life happens, and I know we're still business people, but life happens. So and again, at the same time I'm going through the divorce, now I've got to find private money. Now, the good thing is because I had this $2.2 million LOI, I knew it wasn't going to be hard finding somebody who's a private money lender. I actually got one of my private money lenders was somebody who just helps me with houses. So in my head, I was thinking, I need a commercial, private investor, but I forget, people with money are money and deals are deals. So if I know I could sell it for 2.2 and I'm getting it for 650, to me in my head, I got a deal. So going through this, again, I was actually, going to my family and through the divorce and then trying to figure out this whole thing. So in my head, I've got a lot of hurdles going on this deal. So I just want to give you a heads up. If you're going through life issues, it is what it is. Just kind of, hopefully you could use work as your outlet. I just want to bring that up because that's what happened to me. And that's my boys as well. Now, the funny part is Alex, my son over here, now he's 23, and this one over here is 16. So it's crazy how time flies in these deals. Yeah. My son, Andrew, if you follow me on social media, he's on the high school basketball team, and he had like the biggest game of his life the other day that they did a full article on Max Prep. So just FYI, his name's Drew Cruz if you ever want to look for him. Thank you. All right. So selling to KB Homes. Now, why did I choose KB? So I'm getting a whole bunch of LOIs from people, but here's some things I've learned that hopefully can help people. If you get a whole bunch of LOIs, here's a couple questions that I learned that you have to ask yourself that I was taught by one of the Cushman & Wakefield's main broker who sells like $1 billion a year of real estate. Okay. So he told me whenever you're dealing with a seller of large assets, number one, see, do they have to go to the bank or are they the bank? Do they have money in their account? They could just stroke the check once it hits? Or are you dealing with somebody who has to go to a bank and get financing on the deal? This is a huge deal because you can make a lot more money if you're dealing with the one that just has the cash. Danny, you want to say something?
No, go ahead.
Okay, perfect. So anyway, so this is a big thing that I learned. This was the main reason why I chose KB Homes. So KB Homes, I was like, he was telling me, hey, look, they've got cash in the bank. The minute you finish what they're asking you for on the PSA, that's the purchase sales agreement, they'll close. They'll close within a week. I was like, okay, that'll be awesome. So, and they have a proven track record. Obviously, they already had successful projects in the area. They just had right down the street, they were already building. And then the terms aligned. So at first, I get the contract for $2.4 million from KB Homes. I want to say that really clearly, what I just said. $2.4 million on my first land deal. So I'm flipping out. I am like, now we're definitely upgrading to Wendy's on this.
But Franklin, at this stage, did you have an estimate on what the infrastructure would cost you to get it to the stage where you can sell these lots?
No, I had no idea yet.
And what was, maybe you're getting to this later, but what was the upzoning process like, and had you initiated that process at that time?
Oh no, I had no idea. I was still working with Kimley and Horn, and my biggest deal was I needed to get this under contract as quickly as possible because I need private money. So if I could showcase I got an LOI and I'm working on the PSA, I'll figure out the money. Like I'll figure it out. It's going to happen on the way.
I'm just trying to figure out the sequence, right? So you've got a contract with the seller. You've got conceptual plan showing you can break it into a certain number of lots.
Yep.
Now you're working on securing a contract to sell the lots, at which point then you've got what you need to raise private money, and then you start first the upzoning process and then do the infrastructure in order to actually subdivide the lots.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep. So now between the point of getting the 2.4 and then actually negotiating a better deal at 1.25, and I'm going to share with you why this was a better deal. I did get the private money. So I got the private money, and the way I set it up, and I'll be transparent with you guys, I did I got $1 million. I basically got almost like a line of credit from an investor. So he paid the 250. He started paying the seller's financing, and what I did is a 50-50 deal with me and the investor, and at a 5% pref on his money. So that basically means like 5% on his money, no matter what, and then he's 50-50 on the deal.
Did you pay him monthly, or was
no money, no monthly payments? Like you get your payment at the end of the deal.
At the end, so it's just
because that's like, hey, that's the risk. That's the risk. Like we're gonna take a risk together. You're in it financially. I'm in it my time. This is gonna take a crap load of time. This is the deal. Do you want it or not? He said yes. I said okay, cool. We move forward. And it was great. He was there. And the biggest thing too is if you have a private investor at that much money, what I've always learned is just verify like, hey, you do have access to this in account. Like if we need $500,000, you have it like right now. Like this is not a question that money's going to be an issue. So you always kind of want to double check. At least I did.
Got it.
So
okay.
now I'm going through it, and so the reason why I negotiated 2.4 million to 1.25 million. Why did I go down instead of up? So what they were requesting on this contract on the 2.4 was pad ready. Okay. So pad ready, at the time, I don't really know what pad ready means, right? And this is before ChatGPT, so I couldn't just ask. Like I actually had to do research. And so if this is not pad ready, just FYI, this conceptual plan of showing the plots is not pad ready. This is not it. So I just want to give you a heads up. That's not it.
So explain what pad ready means.
I'm about to go there. Boom.
Okay.
I got this. Look at that. Boom.
Right.
Pad ready means the actual pad. You have laid this subdivision out and you put the infrastructure, and you're going to lay the first, it's pad ready to put concrete on it. Everything it's pad ready.
So meaning roads are in, curb and gutter, utilities, the main is in.
Yeah, the lift station as well.
You've run laterals to each lot.
Yep.
Right? You've run a lateral sewer, lateral water to each lot. And so somebody can just buy an individual piece of land from you, and then it becomes basically like doing infill. So all they have to do is start putting in their foundation, and they've already got utilities right there.
Yep.
Yeah, which is expensive to get it to that stage. Did you at this point have an estimate? No, on what that would take?
No. I'm getting all this stuff. Like this is happening so fast, and I'm going through a divorce. Like this is like I'm going through like everything's in my head right now, right? So I'm to me in my head at this time was I need to show like legitimate companies are interested in this, so my private investor feels good about this deal. Because I don't like this is a shitload of money. I just like I don't care if you're worth 100 million. To me, like my mom never made this in her whole life, right? Like this is a shitload of money in my head. So I've got to make sure like shit can't go sideways with my private investor. I look at private investors as family, like legitimately, Like, dude, you are my family member. I got you. Like, military comes up, like, I'm the M16, you're behind me. I got you. I used to be a general's aide as well. Like, I got you. So, am I clear on that? Daniel was like,
Well, yeah, no, that's what we want, right? We want people that treat other people's money like it's their own, right? We want people that treat other people's money like it's their mom's retirement savings.
yeah,
That's what we need more in this world. So that's great.
yeah.
So
Yeah, and just FYI, like behind me right there, that's a picture of my mom. Next to it is her food stamp card. So she was on food stamps. So to me, in my head, like this is a fucking huge deal. So go ahead, Dana. Sorry.
yeah, no, I mean this is great. So pad ready was going to be
Mhm.
time consuming and expensive, and
Yeah.
so because that probably throws a lot of people off, right? Like how is 1.25 better than 2.4? But you had to do a lot less work to get it to
Yeah. So
1.25.
I'm gonna go over that right now. So
Yeah.
this is what pads look like. Just FYI. I asked ChatGPT for this, so I apologize. I didn't draw
It
it.
looks like a FEMA camp, dude.
It does actually. Yeah. So, yeah, one of the cars has 2 engines on it too. I saw this. I was like, oh, this is interesting. Anyway, so this is pad ready, right? So what came up was why I didn't proceed. So the estimated cost was about 30,000 a lot to get it pad ready. Okay. On top of, I'm into the deal for $650,000, right? So when you start doing the math, their 2.2 is basically what I got it for. So that shit didn't make any sense at all. I was like, wait up. And here's the other thing. Do you realize how many landowners get scammed? To me, this is Franklin Cruz's opinion, get scammed by acquisition managers that do that shit. They're like, oh yeah, you agree because it's more dollars, and they don't do their due diligence, and they actually have to spend money to get out of their own deal. Just FYI, it's happened. Like
Well, look,
ahead.
this is land development by definition. It is a very risky business. Land
Mhm.
development, taking raw land, it can be incredibly lucrative. We had another guy here. I don't know if he's still in your circle, but Harsh, he's a Richmond guy. He did a training for us last year on how he does these deals on a regular basis and makes a lot of money, but he gets, I'm going on a little bit of a tangent here, but it's relevant, right? He gets his buyers to give, so the home builders that buy his land, he gets upfront money from them that he uses to buy the raw land and pay for a lot of development costs. And before very similar to you, right? Before he closes on the raw land, he has a contract from home builders
Yeah.
committing them
Yeah.
to buying
Yeah.
the lots at a certain price. But still, like, it's a very capital intensive business because you're buying the raw land and then rezoning might take you a long time. But then after
Yeah.
rezoning, doing the horizontal work, the infrastructure,
Yeah.
grading, cutting, I don't know if you had trees here, but
Yeah.
leveling the trees, grading the land, putting
Yeah.
in roads, putting in
Just the permit. Look, the permit flow chart is huge as well. To like that permit process, you're doing that as well. But
you might
now
have
you're dealing with
wetlands.
say
You might
again.
have you might have wetlands. If you're in
Yeah, I
California,
found out we did have wetlands. So now that was an issue. Then we have to cover the lift station, right? They're not covering the lift station. The lift station, they make a lift station at the property. See, that could be 200,000 or 400 grand. Go ahead,
clarify
sorry.
what a lift station is.
Lift station is whenever you run utilities, right? You got your water and wastewater. Basically, wastewater is poop. Okay, so it's got to go somewhere, right? So a lift station, if you don't have a natural gravity fall on that property, and a natural gravity fall is they want it to everything, water and everything, they want it to naturally go to your property. It's cheaper, okay? But because of how the property was sitting and the land was, it was cheaper to buy a lift station than to put fill dirt on 9 acres, right? So a lift station, what's going to do is basically a machine that pumps air to push everything, like it pushes it going a little bit
It's like a
upwards.
grinder pump, basically, right? That pumps everything uphill.
Yeah, basically, yeah, that's
okay.
exactly what it is.
Yeah, no.
So
So yeah, but the point is, your money is out for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
it's a capital intensive business.
100%.
I love what you did here. Yeah, keep going.
Okay. So what came up for me was, look, and you have to, the other thing is too, is when you're at this level, what I've learned is if you have an ego, you're going to get screwed. So you cannot have any ego doing deals like this. I just wanted like a disclaimer. Okay. Because I was potential delays. I've got lack of experience. You know, I don't know what to say to contractors, subs. Like, I don't even know anybody who's credible that does this. Like, there's a lot of things. So increased time as well. This could take another 2 years of getting it done because somebody who knows what they're doing, it probably takes 6 months. Somebody who doesn't, it may be a big delay. So that's another thing in my head. So that costs more for my private investor. And the numbers don't make any sense. So now, you know, and it's too risky. The risk level just went like this and profit just went like this, if that makes sense. So now there is a difference called shovel ready. So shovel ready and pad ready, two different things. And shovel ready means you're getting it to the point that all the paperwork is done, that the next thing they're allowed to do is put a shovel in the ground and they could start. And they're putting utilities, they're making it pad ready and then actually going vertical. This is what, so in development, I'm going to keep this really simple if you're 5, right? There's land, you can make raw land, there's approvals and entitlements, meaning shovel ready land, you can sell it at each point. Then there's pad ready, you can sell it at that point, and then there's vertical, because they always say horizontal and vertical. So just FYI, like, if you're talking to somebody who's experienced as a civil engineer or developer, everybody always talks about horizontal and vertical. So if you want to be a part of the cool kid, that's what they say. Okay.
So
Yeah.
Sharita brought up a good question. Does shovel ready means you've at least cleared the lot, or it can just mean as is, but it's approved?
It's as is. It's just
Okay.
approved that they could put they could do anything they want. They could touch the ground now. I got to the point that they're allowed to touch the ground.
Got it.
All right, perfect. So now I got to negotiate a better deal. So I've got to do a deal. And the reason why and please write this down. I promise you, what I'm about to say will make you an extra 100 grand in commercial real estate if you do what I'm about to tell you. Do research on who the acquisition manager is that you are dealing with. Find who they are on LinkedIn or Facebook. See what they like. See where they went to college. Buy them a gift before the meeting. This means a lot. This right here, just trust me on, because now I'm going to tell you the rest of the story. So we go to Columbia Restaurant, and I need to negotiate what I call a net deal. Okay, just in houses, a net deal is like, hey, the seller is selling it $95,000 net. They're not paying shit else. They're not paying no closing costs, no nothing. Out the door. Now I know my math. My math is
this is what I'm getting. Period. That's it.
yeah, that's it.
Net
I'm
in my
not paying
bank
for
account.
shit. Yep. I was like, something goes sideways, that's on you guys. You guys have done this shit before. I haven't. Okay. So I'm having the conversation with Paul, and he brings his engineer, and I found, and this right here is a compass that is just a cool ass compass I bought on Amazon for $20 that gave to the engineer. And then Paul went to FSU and he plays golf. So I bought him a golf speaker that till this day, 5 years later, he calls me and he says how much he loves that damn speaker. Just like,
awesome.
I swear, like literally, I can show you the text that he's talking about. And he's amazing as well. So what happens is if I'm going to be in this world of development and dealing with like legit $1 million deals, in my head, I'm like, I want to be friends with these guys. Right. And so when I was in the military too, this is what we used to do when we meet like a prince or something like that when I was a general's aide. Okay. So anyway, so I had the conversation with Paul, and he doesn't want to give me a number. So that's the other thing too. So I say, hey, Paul, do you guys want this property or not? And he's like, yeah, I really want the property. And I was like, okay, so if you want the deal, can you see? Okay, sorry about that. Let me bring this back. So I said, do you want the property or not? And he said, yes, I do want the property. I said, perfect. So we've got to come up with better numbers because these numbers don't work right now. Like 64, the 2 point, the 2.4 is not going to work because I don't know my cost. So, you know, how much are you guys selling your lots? How much are you guys buying right now? Shovel ready lots. And he wouldn't give me the answer. So then I asked the engineer and I started talking to him and I said, hey, what was the last, how much was the cost on the engineering on it? And he's like, well, you know, we bought it for like 32,000 a lot. So the engineer says it, and Paul, I could look at Paul in the meeting and Paul's pissed. So Paul's like almost like, why did you just give him the damn number? So I used that and I asked Paul, I said, look, why don't we just close this out so we can finish lunch right now? And Andy's with me too from Cushman. And I said, look, why don't we just do, I think it was like 31 or 30,500. I think that was the number. I said, why don't we just close it at $30,500 net right now? Would you agree to that? And we'll just get this deal signed and closed so we can move forward. Paul was like, yeah, that'll work. I went lower than what I knew they would probably go to. But at the time I was like, man, $41,000. If I could have got more or less, I don't give a shit. I just want to get this deal done.
So Franklin, so these guys are they unique in the sense that they can buy shovel ready or they can buy pad ready? I mean, I feel like a lot of home builders either are vertically integrated with land development or they're not, right? Like there's a lot of home builders that will not do the horizontal work. So did you know going into this meeting that they could have gone either way?
I don't think Paul told me one major reason why he said yes to the deal. Normally they don't. Like D.R. Horton normally doesn't do this. Is because I was working with Kimley and Horn. That was the first one. And number two, the conceptual plan already got approved. He's like, this is easy. Like, I don't got to do shit. He's like, normally they do all the approvals and entitlements. So that's why they'll pay you top price for it, because you just saved them 6 months to a year.
Yeah. Yeah, but
So,
they didn't care about doing the horizontal work themselves, basically, because
No,
it was
not at all.
already entitled. Okay.
Exactly.
But
So,
they
and
would
they were
not-
happy about it.
But they would not have bought it until the zoning was in
Yeah.
place.
So now I'm going to go over that. Now I'll go over that. So now we convert it. And so here's another thing too. Please write this down too. This will save you thousands on legal fees. So whenever you're doing a really big deal like this, just FYI, their attorney is talking to your attorney. It is typically not attorney to you. It is attorney to your attorney, right? Because there's a lot of little gotchas, and hire an attorney. Don't be cheap on that. Just FYI, just hire the best real estate contract attorney in your area. It's going to save you a shitload of money. So we go over there, and then also print out and read the PSA and get a red marker. Get a red marker and highlight every word you don't understand, and have the meeting with your attorney and have him tell you what those words are. Because if you're going to do a lot of big development deals, it's cheaper for you to understand how to read a contract and faster for you to close a deal than you hiring an attorney, getting him to review it. Like, you got to start learning legal. So I just want to give you a heads up at these high levels of doing $1 million deals. That's what's done well for me. So, all right, perfect. Anything on that, Daniel? Just want to make sure anybody.
No, I think it's
Perfect. Is
absolutely
this being
right
helpful?
on line.
Is everybody getting something out of this? I'm not sure. I can't see anything.
Yeah, I think so. I think it's very helpful.
Yes, it is.
All right. Perfect. Thank you. I just want to make sure, like, if this is boring or whatnot, let me know. I'll make some adjustments or something. All right. So we did agree 1.25 million. So if you see it right here, it says 1.25 million. So again, went from 2.5 to 1.2, but that was a net. And I was very clear on this is going to be shovel ready. And Kimley and Horn already knew what to do, and I did not. So now we've got to go from where the starting point is to now we've got all these other points to kind of close the deal. So it's like close the deal, get to the target. Make sense? So now I've got a lot of things I've got to do. So one of those things too, I would always recommend sitting down with your civil engineer and ask him, hey, what is the roadmap to getting the last permit that they could be shovel ready? Because every municipality is a little bit different. So whatever county or city you're in, just FYI, like, if you don't believe me, just go to the planning and building department and ask them, hey, what are the steps to get approval plan to shovel ready. And your building department can tell you this, or your planner, and every planning department always has a planner on call that you could ask these questions to as well. It's free. All right, real quick. I know you're still listening. So I just want to let you know, my goal in life is to make a difference in this country. And I know that we can do that by you stepping up. If you're a true investor that wants to be a true developer, now is the time. We can work together. Apply to work with me. Possibly we could partner on deals. Probably you can be a part of the program. I have no idea, but go to trueinvestors.com right now to see if you can actually get into the system or not. The second thing is too, if you have a piece of land or you have a property that you want to sell, I may be interested in it. So please go to truefastoffers.com and probably we can make it work. All right, let's get back to it. Right here on transferring the permit, so if you see right here, see the KB Homes, the vice president, like, so now you're dealing with normally their vice president to get this deal done too. So just FYI, like, you're dealing with a lot of team members to start moving everything forward. So while I have not closed the deal with KB Homes, I have to do all of these items to get the deal closed, if this makes sense. So remember, KB Homes hasn't closed, but I got to transfer it to their name. Okay. So now we've got environmental. This is one of the final permits. This was I think it was a water permit or a sewer permit. And I kept all the documentation too. The other things too, be extremely organized with your paperwork. You're going to need to be. I usually create like a Google sheet and make it what I call master index. And I just put everything on there. And then I think you could put that on Rehab Evaluator as well. But I personally like having both. So I like, just FYI. The other thing is SwiftMud was the last permit. So SwiftMud, when they gave us the last permit, we knew we were going to be closing within the next 30 days. So this was a big deal as well. Go ahead.
And frankly, let me just interject one thing, right? So it's different everywhere. So like, I have no idea what SwiftMud is because Franklin's in Florida, I'm in Virginia. So the right professionals on your team, starting with a civil engineer, especially if it's a bigger firm that also handles permitting and expediting and entitlements in whatever market you're in, they're going to be able to tell you and give you a list. Here are all the things that you're going to need, because it's going to be different wherever you are. So if you're like writing down SwiftMud right now, that specific thing may not be relevant to you whatsoever, right? But the get the right people on your team that know the local requirements, and they will help you. Because I've never heard of SwiftMud.
Okay.
It does sound
everybody
like a swampy Florida thing. That's what it sounds like.
Yeah, no, 100%. That's why I would recommend asking also your planning department. Like, if you don't know a civil engineer yet, you can simply tomorrow or today call your planning department in your municipality and just ask them, hey, I'm working on a conceptual plan for a subdivision. What is the steps that you guys want? What permits are there that get it all the way to breaking ground with a shovel? They'll tell you. This is free. Just FYI, like, you live in America. Like, there's 43,200 zip codes. Every single 9 zip codes, there's a municipality typically. So just FYI, like, you've got access to this. Go ahead, Danny. Are you gonna say something?
No, I was going to make a joke about 2 million federal employees being offered layoffs last night, but that doesn't affect, hopefully, local people.
No, not at all. They're always at least going to have one person.
Saw the news. 2 million federal employees got emailed last night offering to retire and get 8 months of pay.
Can't beat that. Everybody's got to learn a new skill. They'll be fine.
Yeah.
So then now we did finally get this is what a plotted blueprint for a community looks like. Okay. So whenever you're doing a community, if you see close, I'm sorry, I can't zoom in. These are lot numbers. So you they created lot numbers. They created where they could, this is what it looks like. This is the lift station over here. This is all retention. This is wetland up here. These are the roads. This is what it's going to look like. Okay. And then when let's say now we're approved, we got the final permit, right? So I'm out of the deal now. So just FYI, like, I'm out. But I asked if I can get a copy of their blueprints because I just want to study it. Like I want to know more about what's going on. So these are their copies that they
closed?
gave to me.
So at this point, have you closed?
Yes, I just closed. So I literally right before I get this, I
Yeah.
just closed. It was $1.25 million net to us, right? And I'm going to show you guys. Also, I think I have. Where is it right here?
So you
I've
made about
also
what? About half $500,000, a little bit less, after the soft costs,
yeah, it was like 450.
and then you split that 50-50 with your private lender.
Yeah. Oh, the other thing too, I was going to tell you with the private lender, if you're the developer with these kind of deals, make sure you get a developer fee. Okay, it's very reasonable. And the developer fee, it all matters the size of the deal. I usually go by the 10% rule, right? So if it's 150,000, if it's a $1.25 million deal or $5 million deal, I'm going to make anywhere from 250 to 300,000 or $500,000 broken up during the whole process. Okay. I negotiate those deals. So just FYI, like I get
Did you
in on
structure
deals
that
and
in this
and
one?
I go ahead.
Did you structure that in this one?
Yes, so I got $50,000 up front as a developer fee, and then 50,000 at the 6-month mark. So I made $100,000 on the developer fee, and that has nothing to do with the profit as also. Just because the one thing I did know, talking to Uncle Donnie, he was like, "Hey, ask for a developer fee. Like, you're doing a shitload of work. Like, it's a lot of work. That's a lot of coordination. You can look up how much developers make. Like,
Yeah.
this is what
No,
it
the
is."
developer fees are very typical, and everybody needs an Uncle Donnie that for 2 pizzas and a Coke will give you advice that makes you $100,000.
Yep, 100%.
That's awesome.
So, and these are the blueprints. This is pretty long, but I'll just show you like some of the cool ones that I thought that was cool. This is now their approved paving and grading and drainage blueprint. I never saw one before, so I thought this was like, to me, I love art, so this looked like artistic to me. I just thought this was cool shit. So this is what it looks like, just FYI. Any questions related to this? And I know I'm kind of nerding out on my own stuff, but this is like cool. If you've never done anything at this scale, for me, this was like, oh, this is cool shit. This is
Yeah,
awesome.
no, it's for somebody that's never done land. I mean, look at how much you learned just through this process, right?
Oh
Just
yeah.
through going through this, and a lot of
Franklin,
people never
Yes, sir.
get started. So
I'm sorry, I have a question for you. You said you typically charge 10% for that developer fee. 10% of what? I missed that.
So it's like it could vary. For example, like I'm working on a deal that we got for 2.5 mil, right? And I negotiate $250,000 developer fee, right? So it's 10%. And sometimes it could be more, sometimes it could be less, because if you've got a piece of land and now I've got to negotiate. So I'm like an attorney, but I negotiate deals, right? So I know the legal side, I know how to negotiate. So now I have to negotiate the deal. So like this one deal, I negotiated the $2.5 million deal, did the creative financing, set up the partnership, set up the legal. I also set up exactly how the deal needs to be structured to win for everybody. I set up the private money lenders. I set up the attorneys. I have all the civil engineers, and I'm bringing the buyer. So I already have I have another parcel right now. We're selling it, I think for like 9.9 million to DR Horton, right? And I'm into it for 2.5, right? So just FYI, like
10%. So frankly, I think the question is 10% of costs or
yes.
value of final value of the project.
Okay.
And I think the answer is usually based on cost,
Yes.
based on like, here's what we're buying, here's what we're putting into it, here's our total project cost, and the percentage of that is the development fee.
Mm-hmm. Yep. 100%.
And this is how in a lot of syndications, this is how in a lot of ground up syndications, the developers make the money. They're not necessarily putting sweat equity in or putting cash into the deal, right? So they don't have ownership, really much ownership in the deal, but they're making money through substantial developer fees, and they're not always 10%. I mean, if you look at like a larger multifamily deal, you'll find that typical developer fee is more like 4 to 6%
Mm-hmm.
of total project cost, but on a larger deal, that can add up. And I mean, 10% on smaller deals is not unreasonable, especially if you're making a lot of money for your investors, right? If there's just a lot of meat on the bone, who cares if you're making
Yeah.
a good sized developer fee, right? When you're making a lot of money for your investors.
Yeah, and at the end of the day, you also what I learned is just know your worth. Know like in my area where I'm at, there's nobody else that does what I do. Like that nobody knows it from top to bottom. So I'm like, I know I'm bringing value, and this is it. If you guys want to do the deal, great, and this is my fee, or negotiate with me. Because I personally just love being a part of deals. So if it just makes sense for me and my time. So I just want hopefully this helps you if you're new to the area and you want to find a developer, just understand that dynamic as well.
I think
Okay.
Jonathan, you want to mute yourself? He had a question.
Yeah. I wanted to ask, can you just briefly review the cash flow in and out, the structure, the timeline? Just, you signed this, they gave this, you got this guy this. Can you just real briefly run through it again? Because it was kind of it all blended together.
Yeah, no problem at all. Give me 1 second. I could actually do that. I could do you better. Give me 1 second here. Actually, I'll pull it up. Let me see here. I've got it here. Give me 1 second, guys. Let me stop sharing. And let me share here. Okay. Can you see my screen?
Yeah,
Can you see it? You can see it?
Yep.
can you see the screen?
All right, cool. So this is like my index spreadsheet that I created. I'm not as fancy as Daniel that could do software. So, all right. So I bought the deal November 19th, 2019. Okay. Closed it with the PSA. Okay. Then, so it's converted to an entity.
Wait, did you
True
pay
investors.
$650 or did somebody else pay $650?
I paid $650.
So that came out of your account.
Well, my investor's account. Yeah.
That's what I was asking. So you went, you signed it, you got your investor was already set up. They gave you the $650.
Yep.
Okay, cool.
And then I got it under contract with KB Homes February 12th, 2021. Okay. Then I closed with KB Homes August 2021. So 6 months later.
Okay, but
Ish.
going back to the 650, your investor was making payments to the seller.
Yeah. He paid the
What are the
650
payments?
plus approvals and entitlements. I don't have all the cost breakdown. I'm still working on that because it was a lot, but it cost us like $150,000. And just FYI, it could have cost probably 50 grand. I just didn't know what I was doing. There was like a $75,000 class I had to take called Screwing Up. And so that's how much it costs. Go ahead,
But-
Daniel.
Right,
Sorry.
but the
investor was
650 was a
paying that money.
promise to pay. You made payments
Mhm.
to the seller over time. You didn't pay off the seller until you closed, or you did?
No, I did. I was paying her. It was seller financing. I just had to pay the balance by the 8th of September, 2020.
Gotcha. So the clock was running when you made when you signed the purchase and sale agreement.
Yeah, because
And
I made that my purchase sales agreement is the seller financing agreement as well. So we're immediately under I'm converting title over. Like I need to own it because KB Homes and these big national players, what I learned is they only close on what's the legal entity.
sure,
So
of
you're
course.
gonna
Yeah.
have to close to put it in your name.
So above that, what other cash was going out? The 150 for the permits and all that other stuff that you had to do, attorneys.
Yeah. Yeah,
Okay, so
attorneys,
your investor
top
was
of
doing
boundary
this.
tree survey, ESA report. The legal side cost me $10,000 to go back and forth with KB Homes on the negotiations. That's why when it got to 10,000, I was like, oh, I said I need to just call Paul. Why am I having my attorney do this? Like this guy doesn't know what he's doing. He's not. If he did know what he's doing, he wouldn't be an attorney. So
Who wrote your agreement between you and the investor?
I think I brought that up earlier. It was a 50 on the deal, 5% pref on his money, and then $100,000 developer fee for me.
But
Right,
you,
but I
you
meant
wrote it, you
what he
didn't use an
agreed to
attorney,
pay
right?
out is what I meant.
650,000, and then he had $1 million open, so up to $1 million.
Gotcha. That's what I was asking about.
Yeah. Does that answer everything? I'm sorry about that. Let me
Thanks,
see
yeah.
here.
Yeah, and
Okay,
Franklin,
perfect.
David had a question. He said, in hindsight or moving forward, would you take the next step and actually develop the lots and build on them
Hell no.
if you were to do this over again?
Nope. My ego is fine. No, not at all.
You
Zero.
just flip the land. But right now you are doing these types of deals, right?
Yeah, now I
You are
am, but
doing
5 years
roll-in
later,
development.
like I know what I'm doing. I didn't know
Yeah.
shit. Like I was, hell no. No, man, this is stressful. What are you talking about? And I was going through a divorce. I don't even know if that was the reason for the divorce, but I was like, it's a lot of work, man. This is
It
like,
is a lot of work. Yeah.
yeah, like you gotta be, don't think, I talk to investors now that it's hilarious because they're like, oh man, I'm building this and I'm doing that. I said, dude, have you ever done this before? No, but I could do it. I was like, no, dude, whoever you just lent this money back, give them back the money. Like you are going to mess this up, man. Because it could get pricey fast. And some of these, like, I remember the Topo Boundary Tree survey cost me $10,000, right? That's the most expensive survey I've ever spent in my life. And they want cash up front. You can't even work out a deal with them. And so it's just a lot of things that you learn through this process. And then sometimes contractors, like if you hire people to clear the site, sometimes they run out, they have delays as well. So it's just a lot of things to think about, which I didn't want any part of. Now I've done over 15 different transactions, which I'll go over. And now I'm confident. Like now I could okay, we got this. We know what we're doing. And I got Daniel too, so I could just call him at midnight,
Well, I mean, raw land is, again, I understand it conceptually. Like if I encounter a deal, I know the exact steps I would take to
Mm-hmm.
do it, but I've stayed away from it because
Yeah.
it takes time. I like buying lots on which I can, boom, tap into utilities and start building. The worst
Yeah.
that we're dealing with is rezoning, but I've never had to build a road. I've never had to extend the main, any of that stuff. I mean, it doesn't, on the right deal right now, it wouldn't necessarily scare me off, but at the same time, I'd rather do infill.
Yeah, no, I think if you could do infill, do it. I just don't have that kind of opportunity here. The asset class that there's really opportunity is raw land to shovel ready. And what I found is technically the most profitable one. So just like I shared before, I got a deal, and I'll let me go over this, and I'll bring up a bigger deal. So when I bring up Polk Parkway, allow me to elaborate on that one deal.
And
So this
Franklin,
is
just be mindful. We need to wrap up in about 20 minutes.
okay. Perfect. I'm almost done.
No, I mean, this is awesome. So
Oh, perfect.
I just
Perfect.
know people have
Is this
to.
being helpful to everybody? I don't know if you want to do a thumbs up or something. Perfect. All right. So thank you so much. I think the balloon comes up now. Oh, perfect. Thanks, Daniel. So this is the site. Now they cleared the site, and now they're putting utilities in, which I thought was awesome because this is like, oh, this is cool as hell. So KB Home, so this is them clearing the site. This is my son, just FYI. I just thought it was cool. Like, I didn't even know they were going to name it after me. I found this out when they put the street name in, just FYI.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so it was like super cool. My whole family was out there. This was the first street. Like I was like, this is the coolest thing ever. It was just neat. And then this is on Google Map. Like how picture perfect is that, right? Like kids waving at the camera. Like, dude, this is like cool as hell, right? My family's name is here, houses. I was
Awesome.
like, you can't make this postcard shit up. So yeah, like kids running. Look how like really like if you go to Google, this is actually what pops up. I just thought this was like, how cool is it? Like it actually happened, right? So from a stressful moment, divorce, almost 2 years of my life. It's just really neat. This is the Google image as well. And then after that, what I learned, so then after I finished this deal, then the floodgates opened in other deals because now people started knowing that I knew what I was doing because of the cruise court situation locally. So then I was a part of bigger deals. So now just as a recap with Carter Road, like this was from, again, land, doing the conceptual property for 41 houses, negotiating with all of the acquisition managers, renegotiating from 2.5 to 1.2, figuring out how to negotiate that, then closing the deal, then getting everything, then raising private capital. Like all this has happened to create this. So I just want to give you hopefully that's the recap. Any questions related to that? And that, just FYI, and we'll bring it up. So then this opened the door. Then I did an assemblage of 22 acres to 66 acres. This was a light industrial business park. And then I actually found the buyer for this too. This is a Johnson Development Group for 5.5. And at that time, I was a developer because I was going through a divorce. My partner paid me out $500,000 to get out of this deal so that so I could move forward and focus on my divorce and he could take on this deal. So just FYI. So that was another deal. Then another deal, I helped out Habitat for Humanity. This was an 8-acre parcel. I did another light industrial park. Then I built a house for Habitat for Humanity as well. Now I'm working on a 96 unit development on 9 acres, which my office is at right now. I'm literally on that site. And then I just bought the lot across the street, which is 4 acres as well. This is my bigger parcel I'm working on right now. This is a 130 acre parcel that we could put over 500 units on the property. Or we could do light industrial park or industrial, and DR Horton has sent us a ridiculous offer on that deal as well. So that's another deal. Then I sold outdoor billboards to Lamar Outdoor Agency. They bought a site from us. So I actually went through that entire process, negotiated that as well. So these are other opportunities, right? This is across the street, 90,000 square foot industrial warehouse. And I've worked with all of these different companies. So Copart, Coca-Cola, Publix, Wells Fargo, negotiated with DR Horton, Florida Gas, Opal Fuel, Tico, Lamar Agency, the city, the county, the state. Now I'm building some cool houses as well with some butterfly roofs because I love architecture. Frank Lloyd Wright is my hero. Hopefully he gets reincarnated. So doing this, then I was on the cover, that was on the newspaper. I was like, that's cool. Like they caught that good angle to my beard. So the key takeaways has been relationships are everything. Adapt. If you have the opportunity to have a mentor, like whatever they charge, just fucking pay it. Like you're gonna get that money back. Like there's not a lot of good development, true developers. Just FYI, there's not a lot of true developers out there. And if you're in on a deal, like get a mentor. Like don't even think about it. Be adaptable, find lot sizes or, flexible with terms and just create freaking wins. Just FYI, like if you just help everybody create a win, dude, I promise you the money would just be stupid. Like it would just be, it'll be so dumb. You actually buy the Captain America shield, right? Just because you can, right? Like stupid stuff. Big numbers don't always mean big success. Remember, I took down to 2.4 to 1.2 and it was a better deal. Right. So just know that as well. And learn from the experience, build your future, do everything you've got. And hopefully, is there any questions? There you go.
Now, this is also Franklin. There's a couple of questions in the chat that we didn't get to. I know somewhere here, Sarah was asking what the average size of those lots became that was finally approved.
50 by 100, 50 by 100 and 30 by 60 pad.
50 by 100. Okay. Let's see. Who did we miss? Daniel was asking if someone were to be assigning you a potential development, what are you looking for the wholesaler to be completed in a deal like this? He also said, can you share the recording waiver and then criteria for lead searching when doing cold outreach?
Yeah, if you just type in Google video and photo consent release form for your state, just put that, just print that out. That's it. Literally that's what I have. So, and then what was the other question, Daniel? I'm sorry.
Criteria for lead searching when doing cold outreach.
I don't do cold outreach.
Are you doing outbound marketing or is it all
I do zero. I don't believe in outbound at all. In this business, I do not believe in that. I believe you want to have a great business. All my deals have came from online marketing, 100% and referrals. That's it. It's a lot easier. I don't have to, smile and dial. I just learned internet marketing and dialed it in locally, and it's helped me. Every single deal has been that way.
If you guys, and this is, and I've preached this for years, but if you guys look at Franklin's Facebook, and I don't know about other social media, but like he posts on Facebook a lot about his deals and just about what he's doing. And I mean, if you're consistently, and it's not bragging, it's just, hey, here's what I'm doing. Here's what I'm working on. Here's the successes we're having. Here's the people we've helped. If you do that consistently, right, you become known in a specific market for doing specific things. That alone is snowball into deals coming your way, right? And actually, Franklin, put in the chat how people can get a hold of you.
Yeah, I have it on screen right here.
Online.
So
Oh, sorry, I'm
there's,
looking at the chat window, so I didn't see what you had on the screen.
yeah, no problem at all. No
Yeah,
problem.
perfect.
So I would say if I'm just now thinking about getting back into mentorship. I told you, Daniel. So if you've got a deal and I can consult with you with and possibly be a part of the deal, or you're looking for somebody to kind of like, you want to do this process, I'm open to it. Just email me personally and just put on the subject line, interested in consulting kind of thing, development, or Daniel, put Daniel's name, one of the three, and just put like, what are you working on? What are you looking for? How can I help? Like what's missing for you? And probably I could see if I can help or not. And if it's something mutual that we can, create a deal and create some capital and create a win-win, like just FYI, like funny part is I market 100% for residential deals still. I still buy houses, just FYI. And I do that because you always got to constantly practice structuring creative deals. And the best way to get practice is doing houses, and then my profit just goes to like fun stuff. The development is retirement. Houses are just like, whatever kind of thing. That's how I treat it. But just shoot me an email and hopefully that helps.
But
Go ahead,
also, yeah,
Daniel.
well, I was going to say, if you understand role, if you understand opportunities in land, you're marketing for houses, but you're going to come across deals like this where something is sitting on an outsized lot, and everybody else that's marketing to that person is looking at it as a house. You may be able to recognize that, hey, there's more value here in underlying land, and I know what to do with it. So it's a tremendously valuable,
Oh yeah. And even on normal houses, like I bought a deal recently that I made $30,000 more on the deal because I know land. So the guy had extra land in his backyard, and I found, oh, well, we could just subdivide that. So I literally subdivided it, marketed it for 29 or 30 grand, and immediately got a buyer like within a week, and then sold the house for a profit as well. Right? It was a total win-win scenario. But if I didn't know land, I would not know what to do. And infill, like what Daniel does too, like you could take one lot and get 5 lots out of it. I just do this a little bit larger, and then when they're larger, there's a lot of different opportunities. So you could do business park, you could do, like I also sold an easement to Opal Fuel, Florida Gas, and People's Gas. So I had to learn, that, and we made almost a $500,000 on that deal just selling a strip of land. So if you've got an asset and that you're like, man, I think this is around something, you could think outside the box. Probably I could sell this to a billboard company. Probably there's an easement. Who's my neighbor, right? Would he want to buy a strip? There's just so many different options. Can I do outdoor parcel and rent it and then do a self-storage? Or can I do, just different opportunities that you could think about when you start understanding development at scale. At least for me, it's helped me. Go ahead, Danny, you're gonna say something?
No, I'm 100%. The opportunities. I mean, that's what I love about land. There's, you're sitting on a house, it's a house, right? If it's a piece of land, there's so many things you
Danny,
can.
let me help everybody on here. If you do this, you may be able to get like a really cheap lot or deal. So, okay, write this down. This is going to be helpful. So I was on the board at Habitat for Humanity, right? And I found out inside information, and every habitat, just FYI, every habitat is like a franchise. They're not actually, they have to pay a due to the bigger headquarters of the nonprofit. And what I learned is people give them land and houses all the time, and they don't even know what to do with it, because they're a lot of times like they're old people that have, they're just like your grandma. Like, literally, Claire is 82 years old who runs it over here. She's older than my grandmother. So they'll sell you stuff. I bought my F650 Big Bertha, we call it. I bought it from them for $4,000 because it was sitting there with the dead battery for 5 years. And they're like, hey, and I need that for my development deals. So it's like little things, like I didn't even think about that. So consider calling or being a part of your Habitat for Humanity. Ask who the president is or the CEO, and say you're an active, what I would say, true investor. If you're actively in this deals and you're seeing people face to face, you're allowed to call that. Okay. If you're not, and you're thinking that you're going to do a deal over the phone, don't do this business. Do not be a part of development. Don't be involved in this business at all, because you're going to get a bad name fast and nobody want to do business. When development is super small, so just FYI, like this is what I've learned is like you got to make sure you have a good name. So if you do a deal with
The
Habitat,
tiny
just pay them.
community.
Go ahead.
Well, the development community is shit. I mean, real estate community in general is tiny, right? Like Richmond is a market of 1 million people, but almost everybody in real estate that does any kind of volume all know each other. And the development community is tiny. It's much tinier. So yeah, your reputation is everything. Hey, Franklin, really quick, there's one other question, and then anybody that still has a question, we've got a couple of minutes left. I would just invite you to unmute yourself. But Ray was asking, are there any organizations or clubs that you join that help you be a better developer in addition to Daniel's groups?
Yeah, there's a magazine called The Real Deal. So I would recommend go to therealdeal.com. Just subscribe for their year or 2 year. Like all the big developers, that's what they read. Just FYI. There's great podcasts as well on development. I would recommend that. I'm actually starting a podcast coming up called Real Estate Geniuses as well. So, the other guy too, there's some amazing books. So look up Jorge Perez from the Relative Group.
Oh yeah, related.
He is like
related group.
Relative Group. He's an
Related group.
amazing he wrote a great book, an amazing book called Principles, and it gives you the day in the life of a big developer. Like he writes his whole schedule on there and how he runs meetings, and it's an amazing book. Another great book called what is it called? I've got quite a bit. So I would just say like that's a start, hopefully, if that helps. I haven't also met any other, like, if you're going to meet other developers, you got to know who's either your top commercial broker and see if he holds events. Because like tonight, I'm going to a bourbon and cigars networking with our commercial broker for the area. And he's like the biggest one here. And there's other developers that are going to be there too. So that's how we meet. But at least that's worked for me. Hopefully that works for you. And if you're around those big commercial land guys, like they know big developers. So yeah, that's what I would recommend. And then, online, I don't know too many other than like, I just know myself and I know Daniel. I actually don't know any other developers actually been through what I've been through in a sense of going through all these processes. But I know to me, it's like whatever Daniel says, like just take his word for it. Like he knows his shit. So if he recommends somebody, just like, yep, that guy, whatever he's selling, I'm buying. All right. So,
No,
yeah, no problem at all.
This is awesome. Last call for any questions, guys. If you still have something, go ahead and unmute yourself. Otherwise, we're going to wrap it up. But this is phenomenal information, Franklin.
No, I appreciate that. And if you guys got something out of this too, it would mean the world to me if you could find me like on Facebook or any of my social medias, just subscribe or like something that I wrote. I don't know. That would mean the world. My son would think that I'm super cool because he tracks my social media and tells me if I'm adding followers today. So that'd be awesome. So if you could do that. And then please email me as well. Like if you've got any development deal that you're working on that you got a question, I sometimes could just nerd out on it late at night and then send you a Loom video on like my opinion on it. So I at least do that. Go ahead. Sorry.
Yes, Franklin.
Yes, sir.
What your investor? What was the ROI to the investor on the funds that had to be borrowed right throughout the whole process?
Well, we could do the math together because I forgot. So 1.25. I'm into the deal. 650 plus 175 plus my $100,000 upfront development fee, 925 subtracted by 250, 1.25. Okay, so it was, let me see here. Somebody gets it faster than me, please tell me. 325. So 325 in less than 6 months.
That was worth it. It was worth it. Thank you for sharing. Thanks a lot, man.
No problem, man. I've been in the trenches for you guys. I feel hopefully like I want to give back because it's like it's been through so much pain. It's like These deals are so, like in the beginning, these are beyond stressful, man. Like, but then you get cool shit. Like I just literally closed a deal across the street for 5 acres, and no exaggeration, because we're working on the 9-acre parcel here, right? So the 5 acres across the street, the ladies, I call her and I say, hey, I want to do a veterans park and make an industrial park in that area. Can you know? If I support you guys, what do you guys want to do with the land? And this is a whole different subject, but this is a contaminated land that got that actually got approved to be buildable, but it took a 20-year process.
Wow.
Right. So during this process, I knew that. I called them and they said, hey, why don't we just I'll give it to you. I wanted to give it to the city. The lady's like 80 something years old and her dad was a veteran. So it meant the world. Like this was huge for her. Dude, she signed it over to my company. I got that property for $1,000 for the title fee. I literally just got a line of credit on it yesterday. Yesterday. So I just got a line of credit on this shit on yesterday. And look at this. Because I put it in one account. And again, this is real. This is not fake stuff. Okay. So this is, let me see here. This is one account. If it comes up, I think I can show you guys. $427,000.
Nice. I'm thinking of doing some veteran projects myself, because when I always believe in that veterans coming back from Iraq. I was in Iraq, and we've lost like 3,000 soldiers that year, and I was one of the fortunate ones to return back. And they should not be homeless. And when I see them in the streets, it just motivates me and drives me to do something about it. So
yeah,
this
100%.
It was a very encouraging and inspiring. Appreciate you, man.
Yeah, no problem at all, man. I would recommend too in your area, because there's some great nonprofits that help veterans. At least there are in mine. Get with them, see if there's any programs or see something, because they get money for development all the time. Remember, my Habitat didn't have a developer. So they wanted to build stuff, but they didn't know how. I helped them on a couple deals that they made money on. You know, so you could be involved. My advice is, if you're serious about being what I would call a true investor or true developer, like you could get to work today. Like call the Habitat and ask them, you know, go through the process, like get the reps in, because you need the experience, period, to negotiate. You need the experience in front of sellers. Like you need that face-to-face experience of negotiating a deal to get really comfortable to negotiate. Because development is this. Development, the only difference between development and residential is 3 different zeros. It's 3 zeros. That's it.
But I will say the one thing, I mean, Franklin said a lot of smart stuff, but in person, all of the relationships that are going to drive deals and business and money for you in your markets will come from in-person relationships. Go out, talk to people in real life, go out, meet them, take them out for coffee, have lunch. Everybody's now trying to do things online, try to do things virtual, but yes, if at this level, it is in person.
Got it. Will do.
Down, right?
Will do.
Go and you get to know people in real life. It snowballs. I mean, you know, you guys that were here in December, I told you, like right now, I'm in the middle of developing $25 million worth of projects physically right now, right? We're either wrapped up or we're in the middle of construction. And every single deal came to me from in-person relationships in my market. I didn't like Franklin, right? He doesn't do outbound marketing. We don't either. Everything has come from relationships that I've taken the time to build, and the reputation that I've taken time to build organically. So like all of you that are still on this call, and thanks for being here for 2 hours, guys. And thank you, Franklin, for.
Oh, it's been damn 2 hours. My bad.
Yes, sir.
My bad.
We're having fun, but like every one of you still listening.
Yes.
Go out, get in your car, go out and talk to people in your life.
Will do.
Relationships. It's not Facebook.
Yeah.
It's not.
Yeah.
You know.
And this is like, hopefully you see, like this is real. Like that 420. That's a real number.
Yeah.
That's me from knowing what to do, because nobody else knew what to do. or to have the conversation. I had also the conceptual plan of the veteran park. I got it on Fiverr. Like I said, hey, I found somebody on Fiverr to make it for $20. And I was like, okay, this is what I want. And I would show her like, I'm legit. Like I really want to do this. And she loved that so much. So she signed over the property to us, and then and so now it's benefiting. And so it's like, my recommendation is take development serious. If you're still on this call, like this really can change your life and change your family's life forever for real. Like you could legit have a street named after your family, not you.
Yeah.
Don't be greedy, right? Just name it after your last name so everybody else can enjoy it. Don't do that shit of like, your whole full name, right? But this is real. To me, that's cool as hell. Like, how much cooler can you get? At least in my head. And then to get like, this is my local market. How cool was this? I didn't know they were going to do a front page of a newspaper, right?
Wow.
This could be you. Like for legit, that's you.
That's nice.
Like how cool is that? Like
100%.
you can't pay for that stuff, So
You
I was
can't-
like, go all in, have fun. It's 100% possible. If you mess everything up and you completely go sideways, you could always stay at your dad's house. Like it ain't that bad. You live in America. You know what I'm saying?
Mom does your laundry. I've been there. It's great.
Yeah. Look, man, and just FYI, what I didn't say is the first 6 months of doing this deal, I was going through a divorce.
Yeah.
I literally was living at my friend's garage. So
Wow.
I'm doing this deal at my friend's garage, living
Wow.
and then living in hotel rooms.
It
right?
showed plainly that opposition and opportunity come simultaneously, and you defy the odds. Instead of you could have been saying you're going through all of those challenges, but the opportunity that came along, you took advantage of it while dealing with the opposition of your personal life. So that was excellent. Also,
I appreciate it.
Story, Franklin.
I appreciate it, man. I appreciate everybody. Thank you.
Thank you, Danielle, for bringing Franklin.
My pleasure, guys. Thank you for being on.
Thank you, Franklin.
Let's wrap
Oh,
it
no
up.
problem at all, man.
Franklin,
I didn't
thank
realize
you.
it was this long. Good Lord.
Yeah.
No, awesome information. And guys, I'll put up the replay in Nella, you had a question?
Yeah, so I just want to say thank you so much, Franklin.
Yeah.
I didn't see the whole presentation, so hopefully, Daniel, you'll send a link to where we can see this. And you're very brave, Franklin. I can't believe you did that 5 years ago without knowing how to read plans, and you did the legal, you did the architectural, the civil, and all the stuff. And
It should be a reminder. Sometimes you just got to pick up a rock and jump in the fight, right? Like, everybody, we've all been guilty of overanalyzing things and not acting, but sometimes what you don't know, not knowing what you don't know actually allows you to jump in and do the deal, and then you figure things out. So
and just FYI, like there was a time frame, like legit full transparency, I had like $1,200 in my name. And I was like, I know I got a deal. Like I know I got one. I'll figure this shit out. And that's why I asked for a developer fee. The other thing is too, never beg for a developer fee. Just be confident, like you're making the request. Because I knew Joel probably would have given me a lot lower if I wasn't like, man, I got a deal and I need $100,000 and I need 50 now. So hopefully this helps. Hopefully this motivates somebody just to take action. Don't think about it. I promise you, if you know in your heart that you're doing everything on the up and up and you're not there to scam anybody, it will 1,000,000% work out for you. You will learn the lessons that you need to learn. And it may not be this deal that you make all the money, but 100% it's going to be a future deal. Like there's only so many, all you got to do is hit one home run and you're retired. Like you're done for life. You can make a choice to like, do I feel like getting up today if you don't have any kids, right? Like for real, no exaggeration. Because
some of us don't have a choice.
Yeah, it's like, because what comes up for me is you could get to the point of like, all right, my house is paid off, my car is paid off, I have no debt, and I got a couple $1 million in the bank. What do I want to do? And it's just work on cool shit. At least that's for me. Like I love architecture, so I like sitting down with my architect. I like doing modern stuff. I like doing something out of the box, and I'm addicted to learning. So to me, it's like, oh, this is cool as hell. Let's just keep on riding with it, see where it goes. And hopefully and I'll be transparent. My full goal is to create a community of what I call true developers. I actually just bought that domain, truedevelopers.com. And so we could work together on development deals throughout the country. And then my access to these huge companies I've already worked with is now your access, right? So like if I say, hey, dude, I know the guy at Lamar Agency, he'll hook me up with the guy in your state. Let's do this deal together, right? Like, because what I found is it does take years and millions of dollars to learn this. Like, and Daniel, you've done, you know, $100 million worth of deal. He hasn't, it's not 100 million, it's $100 million he spent on his education to learn what he knows, period. Just like, that's why I was like, when I was thinking, I was like, there's no way you could learn. I read all the development books on Amazon. There is no information that it gave me on how to get shit shovel ready, how to negotiate the deal, how to get the deal from 2.4 to 1.25, and that was a better deal. And then how to actually do the private money deal, how to raise the capital, how to do the paperwork for that, like, and do the legal and understand the PSA and redline that shit. Like, there is no book that tells you like, this is the reality and you may lose your family at the same damn time. How are you going to act? Like, there's no, but tell me the book, because not even the damn Bible had this shit inside the Bible. I didn't see it. Okay. So, but go ahead.
Nehemiah was a builder in the Bible.
Yeah. It was like, it's stressful, man. It's stressful, but you've got to know, to me, if your heart's in the right place, you know you're creating a win-win for everybody. I promise you the deal's going to work out. And I promise you 1,000,000%, if you don't have an ego, that's the biggest thing. If you've got an ego in this business, don't be in this business. I promise you're going to lose all your money. And that's on you because you want to be a jackass. But if you have no ego at all, and I truly just want to like do the right thing and don't care that you're going to make $1 million the first year, second year, third year, fourth year, it probably won't be in the fifth. Just FYI, I made the most money on my fifth year than I did my first year. Wow. Right. I didn't even know the deals I'm working on now. I was like, oh shit, like this is impressive. Like I'm pressing myself. Right. I look in the mirror. I'm like, damn, my hair does look good. Right. So it's like, I got this because I've done Lamar Agency. I dealt with Opal Fuel. I dealt with Florida Gas. I dealt with KB Homes. I dealt with DR Horton. I've dealt with Coca-Cola. I've dealt with Wells Fargo. I've dealt with the National Brand of Habitat for Humanity. I've dealt with the city officials. I've got the mayor on speed dial that if I need him to call another acquisition manager because I need him to sell this other big company, they need to come to Lakeland, like I'm doing right now with Speedway Auctioneer. That is value, right? So these are things I would recommend for yourself. Know who your local planning department is. Like you can call them up today, right after this call, and have a conversation. Get a meeting with your mayor. And when you talk with your mayor, don't wear a damn shirt. Look professional. If you're going to actually like be in this business, don't look like a slob. Like you're talking to people that one day, if you get lucky, you may be able to do a huge deal just because they like you. So just FYI, like this is political game as well. Like you're going to find out because you got some pull. Look, this site that I'm on right now, they didn't want to do 96 units. They wanted to do a different kind of site. I got the mayor involved and the mayor was like, hey, I'm fully supporting Franklin Cruz. I'm doing a letter of support for his 96 unit development. I love what he's doing. Boom. Now my value of my land went from 400 grand that I paid for it to $2.3 million net 2.3, which I'm not selling it, but I could sell it if I wanted to. You know what I'm saying? Does this make sense?
Yeah, it makes sense.
Is this helpful? Hopefully this is being helpful, guys.
Yes, it was. I have 4 single family homes that I own free and clear that I bought from the tax auction, clean. And now it's going to change my perspective. One of them I'm thinking of, it needs to be torn down. That's in PA. And I have one in Indiana, one in Illinois, and one in I think it's Michigan. Yeah.
Which market are you in on any of those 4?
I happen to be. Believe me, the numbers was right. I've been a realtor for 19 years, and I actually bought them for like under 50 grand, and they're all worth over $150,000.
Great.
Okay.
As his value. So I did my due diligence.
No, I said, what market are they in? Are you in that market where those?
And I'm not in the market. I'm leveraging my agents in all. I'm with
my recommendation, Ryan, if I could just add in,
Yeah.
If you're going to do development, don't do any of them that you're not in that market. It's going to be a waste of your time. You need to physically meet the mayor. You need to physically meet the planning department. You need to physically meet the building department. You need to know who the inspectors are for your property. You like when you get that knee deep, shit could move, right?
Yeah.
No, you need to meet with the top commercial broker there, take him and find out who he is and send them a gift first so you don't waste his time with a meeting. You only meet with people when you got a deal. Don't meet with people like, hey, can I have coffee? People don't do that shit in my world. Like they don't like, dude, you got a deal. Let's talk. If you don't got a deal, I don't even know about your family. Like I'm good. You know, I don't personally care. At least that's how it's been for me in my world. I'm just sharing what's happened with me. Hopefully this is helping.
It is.
So
I got kind of inroad with the mayor of New York because I'm in New York. I knew him as a borough president, so I'm definitely reaching out to him in full force.
Yeah, and ask him, see if there's any land available at the code enforcements. See if there's, ask him, say, hey man, and then ask him who is the Habitat for Humanity in your area. Meet with the CEO, see if they got any pieces of land. They always do. Just FYI, the deal that I created with Habitat on one of the pieces of land, they wanted to do a subdivision, but they didn't even have the right civil. Like, remember, if you hire a civil engineer, he's not a developer. He's not going to be creative. You need to hire a developer, and that developer hires everybody else. Remember, a developer is the quarterback of the football team. Period. Yeah. You want to be a part. You want to just be you want to be an intern for that guy. You just want to say like, dude, whatever you want, whatever, I'll do it. You know, and just listen and learn because there's not a lot of true developers out there that I know of. Daniel knows a lot more than I do. Like, and there's not a lot that will actually understands how to tell you what's going to happen next and what you need to do and how much money you need and have negotiated huge contracts with lawyers, because then you need to start understanding case law and read land law. So whatever state you're in, find the legal book on Amazon and buy the land law book for your state. And read and get tabs that look like this. You see these tabs? Can you guys see me? See these tabs are short?
Yes.
Buy a red marker, get these tabs, read the books, highlight what you don't know, highlight the book. Right? Like you need to start being very efficient on reading and learning. If you're not, the faster you learn, the faster you know how to read and actually comprehend and not be a distracted idiot. Like you're gonna be beyond wealthy, and you'll leave an impact in your community.
Oh, I love to read and love to do due diligence. That's a must.
And you got to be able to get out of the house. Like number one, developers on the site, they wear jeans and boots. Like true developers that are on land, like you start your Wolverine boots on Amazon, just buy them, right?
Got it.
Jeans, buy Amazon Basics, whatever. But this is just what you will be wearing. Like this is your uniform, right? At least it's been for me if you do land, because sometimes you're going to have to go on the field all the time. That's why.
Right.
You know, so hopefully this is helping. I don't know.
Yes. All of the above. Much appreciated. Thanks a lot.
I gotta close it down because I actually have to go to a job site meeting myself now. So
no problem at all.
Awesome, guys. I'll put this replay up in the Facebook group as soon as it's formatted, so anybody that's missed the beginning of this call, you'll be able to watch the whole thing.
Thanks. Perfect.
Franklin, I followed you on Instagram. I'm going to send you an email. Daniel, thanks, man.
No problem at all, man.
Catch you on the next one. Thanks, Franklin.
Yes.
No problem at all. See you guys. Have a good one, man. Daniel, thank you so much. I appreciate the opportunity to help, man.
Pleasure. Always good talking to you, bro. Later.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
All right, Franklin, and everyone.
Nice to see you guys. All right. Thanks so much for spending time with me. Hopefully you got a ton out of this masterclass. I know it was no joke at all. And I wanted to let you know the very next thing that we're going to go right into as well is called, So You Want to Be a Real Estate Developer. I'm going to be answering in the next part of this series, I'm going to be answering all the questions that I typically get, the top 14 questions on how do I become a developer? What's the mindset that I need? How do I start with nothing? What do I do? So if you're listening to this whole entire thing, just get ready. The next episode is going to be awesome. And then if you're ready to actually work together, work with me, all I want you to do, I have an application at trueinvestors.com. Just fill out the application truthfully. And again, I'm looking for individuals that have integrity, that are they're super go-getters, that are really ready to just make it happen. So if that is you, fantastic, let's make it work. Again, go to trueinvestors.com. Or if you have a property that you want to sell, just go to truefastoffers.com as well. I'll take a look at it, see what we can do. All right, be blessed. Bye.